Right then, we've done the post-mortem and it's time to look forwards. Hey, what's going on, friends? How's it all? Hey, what's going on, my friends? How you doing? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I'm a little bit under the weather today. I think I've got a bit of a cold. Maybe Chelsea is slowly deteriorating my health. Anyway, welcome to a Chelsea news video. That's right, the morning after the night before where Chelsea lose the FA Cup final in disappointing fashion. I'll talk about that a little bit, but I also want to move on and talk about what the club's plans are moving forward and what's being speculated around news publications about movements in players. Because it's important, and I want to say a couple of things here. Chelsea have a very talented squad, a large squad with loads of good players, but that doesn't mean you're good to go. The truth is, over the last few years, with different managers, Chelsea have been buying good, talented young players, but with no continuity in terms of philosophy or desire from the manager. Now, I need to get this disclaimer out of the way. I absolutely love Thomas Tuchel and I'm very happy he's Chelsea manager and I back him entirely. This is not a slight at Thomas Tuchel. I just wanted to take an opportunity to talk about how we got here with a group of players that are very talented, but they don't necessarily all fit this long-term ideology and therefore it can cause problems. Make the comparison with Manchester City and Pep Guardiola. He's obviously been there 5 or 6 years, had a bit of a dip, but he's rebuilt and he's constantly bought into his ideas and brought additional players in for his ideas. Sure, maybe a couple of them haven't worked out, like, Mendy at left back, etc. But still, generally, he knows what he wants and he's working with the board to do that. Now, cast your mind back to when Chelsea last won the league with Antonio Conte in scintillating fashion. Had we not fallen out, or had the board not fallen out with Antonio Conte, and I know, easier said than done, and he stayed a few years like he did at Juventus, perhaps Chelsea could have enjoyed a long sustained period of success because he would have brought in the players that he wanted. For example, he's always wanted Romelu Lukaku. He finally got him at Inter Milan. They've won the league this season in Italy for the first time in 10 years with Inter, absolutely incredible, and a very good team. Antonio Conte, like Tuchel, is a very good coach. Had Chelsea potentially backed him, maybe he would have been in a position to build. Now, this is not a criticism on anyone, this is just a thought experiment. Chelsea enjoyed a good year with Sarri, it was an emotionally good year with Frank with generally pretty good success, and now we're with Tuchel, which is a good coach. But the symptoms of this chopping and changing is you have this large, talented squad that have all come from different perspectives and different ideas, and it's very difficult to build this sort of philosophical ideology of how you want to play as a coach. Tuchel's done a good job, but he's had to play in a very pragmatic way, which hasn't afforded us the ability to score many goals. And I think personally there's a problem in the Chelsea squad in relation to mentality, and maybe that's largely to do with they're just young talented players brought from around Europe for their playing ability, and they train hard. Do you know what I mean? But we're missing these sort of big Titanic characters that see us over the line in finals, and we've lacked that for a long time. I'm not digging anyone out, this is just a symptom of circumstance. Arguably, you could, say it's Chelsea's board's fault, but at the same time, it's difficult to criticise them when they've enjoyed so much success with their model. Anyway, Chelsea are left in a precarious position where we've got a lot of good players, but Thomas Tuchel, no matter what he says in his press conferences about being happy to carry on with the same squad, more and more will be thinking, I need to make some changes. And throughout this summer, I'm going to be supplying you guys with more Chelsea news videos like this, so hopefully new Chelsea boss Thomas Tuchel can start building a team really in his image. Personally, although he's done, very well, Tuchel, granted, I do think he got it wrong in the FA Cup final, but he's not going to just be randomly perfect, And the way I'm looking at these 6 months at Chelsea, personally, I'm kind of looking at it as an extended pre-season. So next season, he can really go for the Premier League and his squad and maybe get a few transfers, ins and outs, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's go into the first transfer story of today's video. It's taken a while, I know, and talk about Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Now, many of you might have forgotten, but Ruben Loftus-Cheek was sensational for us in the Maurizio Sarri season, up there with Eden Hazard in terms of being our most influential outfield player, scored some excellent goals, was a game changer and was looking very, very promising indeed. Got called up for England, won a Man of the Match award for England. Everything was going rosy before he got his injury. Of course, he's been on loan at Fulham this season, and although he showed flutters of his previous self, it's been rather disappointing, and now the Saints, Southampton, are looking at him and are very interested in a loan reportedly. So let's take you through this story and read out some information. Southampton are reportedly plotting a bid for Ruben Loftus-Cheek this summer, with manager Ralph Hasenhüttl said to be a big admirer. Loftus-Cheek is currently on loan at Fulham from Chelsea, but there is some sense that his time at Stamford Bridge could be close to an end, not least because of the competition in the midfield places in Thomas Tuchel's side, since he is likely to face. According to the Express, the Saints tried to sign the 10-cap England midfielder a year ago, only for the newly promoted Fulham to take him on loan. Interested that they tried to sign Ruben Loftus-Cheek, whether that was on a permanent or a loan, I'm not entirely sure, but before I give you my opinion, I want to read on a little bit more. However, Tuchel hasn't shut the door on including Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who has still 3 years left to run on his current deal with the Blues. In his plans going forward, he hasn't yet worked with him, having only taken over as head coach in January following the sacking of Frank Lampard. Quote, "I was quite a fan of him even when he was younger," said Tuchel last month, comparing Loftus-Cheek to the former Chelsea midfielder Michael Ballack in terms of his play style and movements. Tuchel said he's on loan now and doing well. It would be unfair to judge him from TV. Now, this is very, very interesting. Ruben Loftus-Cheek's best position for Chelsea under Maurizio Sarri was as one of those attacking eights, allowed to drive from deep. In the Thomas Tuchel system, should we keep this system? I don't really see him as a double six. And is he going to be one of those sort of inside forward number 10s when he presses a lot? Maybe, although I don't think he's utilised to the best of his ability, starting deep and driving through and then, banging it top corner, or just using his strength to barge off people, much like Reece James does, but through the centre of the pitch. If it is just a loan at Southampton, it could be one final chance to prove himself in the Premier League and maybe come back and start for Chelsea. He's still young enough for that to happen. But I would like it if Thomas Tuchel had a look at him in pre-season, especially if he thinks the Lewisham Michael Ballack could be like Michael Ballack. We'll have to see what happens to that one. Right then, let's move on to the second story of today and talk about Kepa Arrizabalaga. Now, Kepa is an interesting one. He surfaced in the media today, probably because we let in a goal in the FA Cup final yesterday against Leicester. Now, I'm not one of those people that say that he was at fault for the goal. It was a world-class goal, went top bins. Kepa's generally been pretty decent for Chelsea under Tuchel. You could say there's a small % chance that a different goalkeeper gets there and makes a world-class save, but it's absolutely churlish and silly to suggest it was a Kepa Arrizabalaga problem. Now, in regards to Kepa, there's been some news circulating that Chelsea were interested in Tuchel playing him more and more, regaining his value, and who knows, maybe even making him number one again because they want to see a return on their investment, which is just complete business perspective and disregarding how Mendy's been excellent and better. But that, Kepa's still a talented goalkeeper in there. Ideal situation, he makes a couple of saves in the final, like Kasper Schmeichel did, regains his value, suitors look at him and go, ooh, he's really, really good. But anyway, today's story is linking him with Lazio, the Serie A Italian club. I'm going to read you out a quote now. According to Italian site Lazio News, Lazio could be lining up a shock loan deal for the 26-year-old goalkeeper this summer as they seek to improve on a disappointing campaign. Veteran goalkeeper Pepe Reina has played the majority of the season in goal for the Roman club, but the 38-year-old's loan from AC Milan expires in the summer and Lazio will surely be in the market for a replacement. Lazio are a big club in Rome, relatively high profile. I don't think they've been very good this season, but they had been really good of late. Let's read on. It may be difficult to persuade Kepa to swap London for Rome, but given Lazio's lack of either Champions League or Europa League football this season, a fresh start out of the immediate spotlight could be welcomed by the Spanish shot stopper. However, Lazio may face stiff competition for Chelsea's number 2 signature, with his former club Athletic Bilbao rumoured to be interested in taking their former player back to Spain on a permanent basis. Now this is really interesting. The fact how there's potentially multiple suitors for Kepa Arrizabalaga is a positive sign for Chelsea. Lots of you watching this now might be like, look, Kepa's decent, man. If we settle as a team, Kepa could be an asset, whatever. True, and I do think he's a talented goalkeeper, and I actually quite like him, despite the, the League Cup not being substituted instance at Wembley, which I was at. I remember I was quite near that happening, and it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen on a football pitch. But I think for his own, I mean, he's regained confidence a bit, and Tuchel's largely to thank for that, but I think he should probably try a new club now and, you know, regain his confidence fully and just start again. Sometimes you just need a fresh start. Lazio would be interesting. They're a big club, of course, and it's a different experience for him, but it would just be a loan. But if his previous club, Athletic Bilbao, want to take him back on a permanent basis, that might seem appealing to him, but also it might be like, you should never go back. Do you know what I mean? Like, it feels no good to go backwards. He probably would back himself to play really well for them, because of course that's where he rose his profile so high. Well, you could argue his profile was highest after winning the Europa League with Chelsea. He was being scouted by Real Madrid, by Chelsea when he was at Bilbao. It's home for him. He's a Spanish native speaker. He'll probably feel like he can get the best out of his ability there. And if they're willing to buy him back on a permanent basis, they know his value. They're probably willing to pay like 30 million, 40 million, rather than other clubs that won't be willing to pay that. Chelsea will make a massive loss on him regardless, but because of his old club know what he can do, maybe they'll pay that little bit more than other clubs, and they'll still be massively in profit for what they sold him to Chelsea for originally. So Kepa could be out the door this summer. Let's roll on and talk about the next story, which involves Verratti. Now, Marco Verratti is one of my favourite midfielders in world football and has been for a long time. Incredibly industrious, excellent technical ability in close spaces, loves a tackle and can play a long ball. Pretty much got it all as a small, tenacious midfielder. He's kind of like an evolved version of Billy Gilmour. In that sense. My only criticism of Verratti is his temper, you know, he can be petulant. We've seen it so many times, and PSG collapses when he gets red cards or yellow cards or loses his head and puts in fouls and stuff. But, you know, beside all that, he's a magnificent midfielder, and he's been linked with Thomas Tuchel, of course, the manager that's only so recently coached him. I'm going to cite an article about him now and then give you my opinion on this story. The exclusive. Chelsea manager Thomas Tuchel has informed the Stamford Bridge hierarchy of his desire to be reunited with Marco Verratti at Stamford Bridge, having previously worked with the Italian at former club Paris Saint Germain for 2.5 years. Verratti has spent most of his senior career with PSG, playing close to 350 games for the club since joining them in 2012, and has established himself as one of Europe's top technical central midfielders. Absolutely top technical midfielders, and although they've got Mbappe and Neymar and stuff, a lot of PSG fans, their favourite player is Marco Verratti. Let's read on. Tuchel was a big fan of Verratti during their time together in Paris, and 90 Min understands that he's spoken to Chelsea officials about his interest in working with the player again. What's more, sources close to Verratti have indicated he would consider a move to the Premier League. Well, let's quickly take a look at Verratti's player dated from transfermarkt.com to have some indication of what's going on. Verratti is in his prime at 28 years old, an Italian international that plays in central midfield or a bit more defensive, and his contract expires in 2 years from the summer. So, should he not want to extend, he might be good to go for a sale. Now, the thing is, Verratti's one of the best midfielders in the world. Chelsea would absolutely want him. But also, he'd be seemingly perfect for Thomas Tuchel's side in this 6-6 formation or system. We have Kante, Jorginho, who's been up and down lately, and of course Mateo Kovacic. 3 very good midfielders indeed for 2 spaces, but when one gets injured and a club like Chelsea plays so many games in so many competitions, it leaves you in trouble. It's nice to see Billy Gilmour trusted, and I'd hope to see him trusted more, or even a Premier League loan. I'd actually be happy with both, but we're still short one of those super quality midfielders, 6-6s, whatever, and Marco Verratti absolutely fits the bill. Not only that, he'd probably be top of the list, for me anyway, because he's worked with Tuchel, because he's world class, and he's in his prime, and he knows how to win titles. So for me, it would be the ideal, perfect signing, perfect transfer in the summer, alongside maybe a clinical goal scorer. More on that, I suppose, in another video. Anyway, let me know what you think. Get down in the comment section below. Sorry I've got a bit of a sore voice today, or sore throat, or my voice doesn't sound normal. It's because I'm a little bit under the weather. Leave your comments down below. Please do drop a like if you've enjoyed this video. It really means a lot to me. Consider subscribing if you're new. Try to enjoy the football, and I'll see you later.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double, silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo, chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me, baby.